Welcome to the Humble the Heap and Go Horns Go podcast as we analyze Season 4 of the Nexus Online Diplomacy Championships. We don't have a name to our podcast. We just trade off who we say sponsors it, or at least announces it each time. And our sponsor for each podcast is diplomacybriefing.com, brought to you by our very own Humble. So, Humble, how are you doing? And describe to us diplomacybriefing.com.
I'm doing well. And actually, we picked up another subscriber from the podcast just today. So, so we picked up another subscriber, and that's, of course, exciting. The briefing now is over 550 subscribers, and we every single week send out everything that is worth noting in the diplomacy hobby for that particular week. We do a strategy article. In fact, this coming week, I've put together a whole bunch of resources on sandboxing and the different methods that you can do that, and also some exercises on learning stalemate lines. So you won't want to miss this Friday. Sign up. It's free. You can do it through email, Facebook, Twitter, RSS feed, or Instagram. It's just diplomacybriefing.com. Sign up there.
Wow, I can't wait to read that issue. My game improved tremendously with sandboxing because I'm not smart enough to do it all in my head. So that is a fantastic resource. And I also look forward to learning about stalemate lines. I, of course, am aware of them, but every time I'm in a game, I have to think through it. So if there are strategies to help, perhaps diplomacybriefing.com can aid a poor old soul like myself trying to get better at this game. 7 players are playing a championship game right now in the Nexus tournament. We are in the fall 1903 season. Humble, do you see the map up in front of you?
I do.
All right. So I found this a very interesting set of moves, both frustrating and disappointing and interesting. How about yourself?
Yeah, it's, I was thinking back with the last podcast, some of advice that was given, especially to Turkey. His decision to has really hurt him with some of the things he's done. But no, this is definitely one that's had a lot of fireworks. England has shown this particular fall moves, how bad his spring moves set him up for. So it's very, very interesting, plenty to talk about for going into 1904.
Well, we started out in the West a lot, so let's move to the East and go there. You were for Ionian moving to the Adriatic. That didn't happen. Turkey tried for the Tyrrhenian Sea, failed because France supported Western Med in there. We'll talk about that later. You had also had hinted at Constantinople moving to Aegean. I lean towards bouncing in Bulgaria. Clearly, Turkey thought that he was going to get the jump on Russia, but that did not turn out to be the case. Constantinople moves to the Black, but Turkey, even though he gained one in Serbia, loses one on Bulgaria, so no builds. Analyze Turkey's moveset for us.
Well, my recommendation there in Bulgaria was actually for Serbia and Greece to bounce, because
that is true, actually.
Yeah. And I said, I thought that there was a low chance that Russia would stab, but hey, you might as well be careful with that and just make sure that he doesn't do that, because I didn't think there'd be a high likelihood that Austria and Italy were going to work together against you in Serbia. So I thought there was probably a good chance for that. Of course, Khan bouncing in Bulgaria would be possible, but honestly, if you're not going to, if you're going to use one of your armies to bounce, you might as well move your fleet somewhere, because you're not going to have the.
Russia did try to get it together with Austria to move to Serbia, right? But clearly the lack of trust there prevented that move from going forward, as well as I'm sure Austria wanting to preserve Trieste.
Yeah. It's a strange decision for me with Russia doing this, for the main reason that Turkey's a little bit and it might be a little preemptive because Turkey's not going to make a ton of progress on Italy with France there. So Russia's thoughts may have been, if I don't stab Turkey, he's going to eventually stab me. There's some preemptive stuff there that perhaps that's his thought, but I think Russia's making an enemy in the south that it may not be to his advantage, because one of the things he needs to think about is Austria is much more likely to work with Turkey than he is to work with Russia here. Russia's in Budapest, and so I think that making this move, especially before you get Vienna, wasn't the wisest. Then again, Turkey moved to the Black Sea, so there was a breakdown going on somewhere there.
Clearly a breakdown, but Turkey can force back Bulgaria. Now he's got the black. Still a lot of concerns for Russia, stabbing for one. I guess Russia's thought process was, well, maybe he can't because Russia's going to get one build. I assume Russia needed a build. Russia probably builds in Sevastopol.
Yeah, it's definitely, you would think with the move set that Russia made that would be what he would be planning to do. I'm not saying it's a terrible Russian move. It's, especially if the plan is to, go with Italy. And I've been kind of saying at the beginning that Russia-French connection is something that should be watched by everybody on the board, because it's very possible that those two are sharing information, because it's kind of in both of their benefits to see the people between them fall. The Russian-French alliance is a great information alliance, and a lot of people don't take advantage of that, but they both have mutual reasons to help each other on the diplomacy side. And this whole thing could have very much be set up with, okay, I'm going to be helping Italy against Turkey, so Russia, you have a chance to grow. Why don't you make a move for it? So maybe that was some of it, but Turkey shows that he wasn't, something was going on there with that move to the Black Sea. He wasn't trusting something. But I definitely, regardless on that move to the Black Sea, there should have been a bounce in Bulgaria, and he would be looking much, much better if he would have done that.
Would have had a build, could have built that army that you had talked about before. Mm-hmm. That actually does put into play, hindsight being perfect 2020, whether he should have built the army as you had recommended as opposed to the fleet.
Yeah, I really, sometimes as Turkey, and this is always the case, you always got to say, okay, if I'm putting my resources towards something, where is it going to do the most benefit for me? And so butting heads with France and Italy in the Ionian, to me, didn't seem like the best next move, because you're not going to be getting anything from Italy. They're not going to be able to get anything from you. Italy's not going to go on some campaign against you and leave all his home centers open to France. So to me, locking up the Balkans was the better idea, with an eventual turn on Russia. So I thought, do that army and move into Bulgaria as you go in to take Serbia and just lock it in. But, building a fleet wasn't a terrible decision, but it left himself open for what Russia did. And you should have just bounced in Bulgaria. There was a higher chance to me of Russia trying to sneak in and grab something than there was of any of them working together to bounce you out of Serbia. That was my opinion. And it was not listened to, but then again, the moves had gone through before he could listen to it. So
I'm sure not much to say on the Austrian moves.
Yeah, I like what he did, actually. My first thought was, hey, maybe you go and bounce Budapest. But I bet you his thought process was this: if Russia's offering for me to go to Serbia, I'll say yes, but I'll know in the back of my mind I can probably support Trieste. It was a real gamble, because if Russia would have attacked Vienna, Austria would have been out of the game. It would have been over.
Correct.
So
And Austria probably thought he couldn't take Serbia because Greece would probably support Serbia.
Yeah. So as Austria, like on the tactical level, I would have hit Budapest personally. In fact, if he would have hit Budapest, he could have kicked him out and he would have lost Trieste, but Russia would have got a little more damage done to him and might have ended up working out okay for him in the long term. Either way, he's still at 2. His gamble paid off. And
he's at 2 with Russia now, enemies with Turkey head on.
Mm-hmm. And Italy's at 3. So that's really good for him because Italy's going to have to be pulling off. And if he can do some good diplomacy, with both Russia and Turkey fighting each other, he might be able to get his home centers back. So even at 2, he's got some life left in him. And that this has to be looked at as a great year, finally, for Austria, though he's still in a bad position. He survived, and he could have been dead.
He survived, and he's got hope. Chip in a chair, as they say in poker. Italy's moves, I don't think we talked about the Fleet Tuscany potential move, or if we did, I can't remember what we said, but what do you think? In hindsight, should he have tried for Gulf of Leon or stay home and let France and Turkey go at it?
I believe that's an army, though.
Oh, it is? I'm sorry. I'm looking at. Okay, well, then that couldn't have been done.
Yeah. He disbanded that fleet, which was making the deal with France, which is a real deal with the devil in a sense, because he almost just has to sit around now. There's nothing really that Italy can do. He's not going to be able to make a lot of progress anywhere. So I'm not sure what he's going to do, if he's going to disband Albania or disband Rome. But Italy's pretty much become a client of France. There's not a lot he can do. And he's got to kind of, I guess, hope for maybe Austria to collapse or someone to use it. I'm not sure making that deal with taking off that fleet was the best decision, but he did it. And so now he's basically become the stalemate of Turkey. And it all comes back to Italy hurting Austria. He focused on that, and now they're both in a worse position.
Let's try and do this and go to the north. Just talking about the northern moves of England and Russia here. England goes for Sweden, is made nice apparently with Germany, but loses St. Petersburg. England pressed the attack on St. Petersburg as opposed to defending Sweden. Your thoughts?
Yeah. It just continues to just look like such a terrible move for England. Now, I probably should give a little caveat and give slight credit, I suppose, to England, because France did kind of, make some moves that didn't seem as friendly on the same move that England stabbed. But he also built Fleet Liverpool, which that could have precipitated France's moves. So, no, I continue to dislike this because now he's got a fleet in St. Petersburg, which is a horrible place for an English fleet. You want to put an army into St. Petersburg. So he didn't get a build. So first failure. He didn't get a build. 2, now he's put a fleet in St. Petersburg, so he can't make any progress. And he's not going to be able to hold that fleet there. He's going to lose it.
He's vulnerable with 2 armies up in with an army in Sweden and an army in Moscow and a fleet in the Baltic. I mean, Russia, if Russia's not pressing against Germany, there's plenty of chances for Russia to get back what he needs.
Yeah, Russia literally told England, you can have Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. And England was like, I think I'll completely blow up and lose the entire North, because that's what could easily now happen to England. He has no ally at all, and he chose to stab both France and Russia. Now, there might be some things that were a little behind it. Maybe for some reason he felt he knew France was going to stab him. But that build in Liverpool is seldom a great thing, because it's better to trick France and get your units where you want than build in Liverpool where he can see you coming. Yeah, I mean, you sometimes do it if you've got such overwhelming numbers to make it work. But because of this, he made it a much more difficult job for doing any kind of invasion, and doesn't seem like he really worked things out much with Germany. So just another, to me, poor outing, and the fall 03 moves clearly show how poor his spring 03 decisions were.
All right. Would you like to go to Germany or France?
Well, I think a good move set for Germany again. He didn't lose any centers. Which was looking very, very dicey. There's now a war going on, and with Russia and France against England. He's got a really fine line to walk, because when England goes down, he very easily could be next on the menu. So he's got to think through some things. He's got to be able to play people off each other to try to get that corner back for him and some good expansion opportunities. But a very successful year for Germany. He didn't lose more centers, and he's still in a good position. I mean, he's got 5 units. That's as much as, well, 1 less than England, and France has got 6 also. So he's right there in the mix. It's a good year for him.
You like the move to Ruhr?
Yeah, I do. He kind of has, they need to punch England out. He kind of needs to trust France anyway. I think it's a wise decision to do. And now with that Russian army in Sweden, and presumably that fleet is going to be going back to both. Really, that fleet should probably go to Livonia, I would say. That's definitely what should happen this next turn. That fleet should go to Livonia. Anyway, he can probably then feel comfortable dropping Kiel into Munich for some basic defense. And looks like England's going to be losing Belgium, and he's going to be losing St. Petersburg, and all of a sudden things become much more dicey for him.
France does not move Western Med back to Mid-Atlantic, which could have bounced there. Instead, presses the attack for position on Italy, and maybe it's a anti-Turkish insurance policy. Your thoughts on the French moves?
Yeah, I personally would have probably leaned more towards bouncing into Tyrrhenian Sea than pushing it in, because you're really committing a lot to stop Turkey, when your bigger issue is really figuring out the West. It's not a terrible thing, but here's the big problem. France has committed 2 fleets to keep Tunis and to strive to stop Turkey. I don't really think that's in his advantage, because if you think about it, France was the reason that Italy was destabilized, which could be in his advantage. But the one build he got off of Tunis is not really that helpful, because he has to commit 2 units to even hold Tunis, because he can't he wouldn't want to lose it. So he's having to commit 2. He's trying to prop up Italy, and long term it might work out fine, because he may be able to quickly grab some Italian dots when the time is right. But there's a reason why French players don't jump on Italy before one of the other people in the West is dead. France is shown to be a very capable player. It's an uncommon strategy that he's doing, but he may easily be able to pull it off. But putting those 2 fleets there makes it very difficult for him to not lose a center to England this next turn. It's definitely possible, but I mean, it would not surprise me at all. In fact, I hope I see England convoy that Belgium army into Gascony. He better do that. So I'm looking forward to seeing that happen. He better do it.
The fleet Picardy to England move was clearly done, I would think, to try and help get Burgundy into Belgium.
Yeah.
Which didn't work.
Right.
But he left Brest open. I think you had recommended moving to Brest to be careful.
Yeah. I think I would, if I was England, I would have probably gone to Brest anyway, because if he another reason he went to Ruhr was to destroy it. If they got it, they wanted it to have to be disbanded. That's another reason, which was smart. Yeah, I actually probably England's moveset was the best there. Make sure that you can keep what's going on no matter what. And but it could have not worked out if France would have supported Germany down, he would have been in trouble. But it all worked out for England. I think that defensive move was good. I think England in the south has actually done some good things. It was that Russian strategy was just so terrible because he missed out on a build. And right now, if he would have gone his normal direction and not stabbed Russia, man, he would be in such a great position as England. But didn't work. Yeah, I would have probably done Brest, but at the same time, they had worked it out that that either he was going to get Belgium and lose Brest, or everything would stay the same. So I think tactically they all made the right decision there.
Okay. All right. So I assume you've looked at the builds. I have not looked at. If you haven't, we can play a guessing game.
Well, I saw some of them, but I don't remember all of them. But so.
Well, Russia gets a build as board leader. What would you do?
In this particular case, well, you probably in this part
can only build in two places.
Right. You think the moveset that he did was done to build in Sevastopol. So
fleet or army?
A fleet's is your go-to one, but I would say probably your army is more what you want. It's just going to become more versatile. You get two fleets down there, man, then you've only got two armies trying to hold Romania, Budapest, and Bulgaria. And the other thing there too is Turkey's going to be able to get Bulgaria back. So you probably do an army. And, maybe Russia works something out with where they disband that fleet. Maybe they say, okay, if I'll do this with you, Turkey, and I'll disband the fleet after you knock it out, and we go forward. I don't know. But I think you probably do an army in this case.
Italy has a disband coming.
No, it should be the same.
It should be the same. Okay, 4. All right.
Italy has a disband.
Italy. Oh, yeah, Italy has a disband coming.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said Turkey. Yeah,
Italy they lost Serbia. I'm recounting as you were telling me that.
Sorry about that.
Italy moves to 3. What does one do?
So
that army in Rome?
Yeah. I think you disband. Well, the big thing is diplomatically, what do you think you can work out? What's Austria and Turkey and Russia telling you? It's really dangerous. But the truth is, you could probably bounce in Rome with Venice and Naples. So if you want to be able to do anything in the game, you probably do have to disband Rome, I would say.
All right, and then France has a build coming with 3 available centers.
Yeah.
It seems like the Mediterranean would not make sense. Building in Marseille or Paris. I'm thinking Fleet Brest.
Yeah, I would think so too. I think you have to do that.
I don't think anyone else has any other moves, so let's switch and see what they did.
Yeah.
Winner, chicken dinner. Army Sevastopol, like you thought, or thought he should. Disband Fleet Rome and build Fleet Brest.
Yeah, the only thing I remember that he did that was France built that fleet in Brest. I didn't process any of those other ones, but that was, I think it was the right decision.
I don't think I don't think France had another option.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move to our preview for spring 1904. You should see the map as it stands.
Yep, I see it.
Ew, what do you do if you're Turkey?
Well,
You got Khan undefended.
right.
Sevastopol probably moves to Armenia.
Yeah,
You got French fleets stacked against the Ionian.
right.
Man, Turkey was looking great, but got a lot of things to work out right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Let's go to Turkey last because there is a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move to the west. I guess there's going to be a guessing game over Spain and Portugal.
Yeah. There's definitely that. I'll tell you what. The problem with England is if he supports English Channel, that's probably going to get cut by Denmark. Once again, man, I can't believe he attacked both Russia and France. And Russia was going to support him into Denmark. He's going to become...
England's got problems, right? Baltic is going to move to Livonia or Gulf of Bothnia, for sure, right? No question.
Well, I think you have to do Livonia if you want to guarantee St. Petersburg, because then you can support your fleet there and then knock them out. So I think you definitely want Livonia.
Take that, then you get St. Petersburg for sure.
Right.
Well, I guess the question is, does St. Petersburg move to Gulf of Bothnia for a play on Sweden in the fall?
Yeah, I think you have to.
So they might just switch positions.
Yeah.
Again.
I think you have to in that situation. Which, at the end of the day, England might say, you know what? I made a really bad decision and I deserve to be down a center. So you just take St. Petersburg and let's...
Well, if you get Sweden back, it's even Steven.
Well, I think the only way you get this back on track is if England says, you know what, you keep Sweden and you get St. Petersburg back. That's my punishment for what I did. And then you go forward. It's just so terrible because Russia had nothing in the north. He was completely helping England get everything in. That in season 5, Nexus finals, if we're doing this again, England is going to become the new Austria that I'm just going to continue to go back with. I can't believe you did this. So, anyway.
Well, you don't like England's moves for 3 years in a row.
Well, I liked his second-year moves. His 1902. When he went from 4 to 6.
I hear you. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to make...
What about England in the... I mean, what is... I assume France works with Germany. There's an issue on Belgium. I assume Germany could take it, cover Munich now.
See, that's the issue. I think what England's got to do is he's got to get an ally. And me personally, if I was dropped into this position and took over, I would be like, okay, you have Belgium. You've got all these armies.
You're meaning to Germany. He offers Germany Belgium.
Yeah, you say, you take Belgium. Don't hit me in the North Sea. I'm going to convoy an army. Okay, I'm going to get that army out. You take it. It's all yours. And that way North Sea can support English Channel. And then he can support that army to Gascony. I want to see that happen. If you do that, England, you're going to be on the nice list again. So give him that convoy to Gascony. And then you have some opportunities, a lot of opportunities to replace that center with something from France, either in Marseille, Spain. And if I'm Germany, should be all over that because
you only have one fleet. What damage are you going to do to England otherwise?
Right. France is the one that's going to be set up. It's very difficult for Germany to make a whole bunch of play on this. England and Germany, with their current builds, are natural allies right now. So I think that the key is always being flexible. And so England's going to have to do something, because if he doesn't, he's going to be really hurt. He's going to come out of here and he easily could be down to 4. So if I'm England, I'm really trying to work out long-term and short-term with Germany. Here's why it's beneficial for us to work together. And who knows, maybe he gets Germany to support him down into Burgundy. But I personally would rather convoy that unit out and put it into Gascony, which I don't think France is going to see that coming. So if he can just get Denmark not to do North Sea, he can convoy it, and he will be set.
What does France do? France continues to work with Germany. France is going to try, at least. Germany's been trying to help ever since that move into Burgundy 2 years ago. Has been trying to make amends. I assume they can force it this time if they want to, one way or the other.
With Belgium?
Correct.
Yeah. There's no way to stop it, because the English Channel can get the support cut there. North Sea can get support cut, and then it's just word about to support Burgundy up to Belgium.
Do you think France might offer Belgium back to Germany and have Burgundy move to Gascony to play defense with that mid-Atlantic fleet?
Yeah, I think that wouldn't be a bad plan at all. It's dangerous.
The retreat would be bad if Belgium retreated to Burgundy.
Right, yeah, no, so you couldn't do that. But I don't think he has to do that. The deals, it seems to be that France gets Belgium. Germany probably wants to get that out of there. France is, even though this stuff going on with England, France is still in a pretty decent position. I think we could easily see Tyrrhenian Sea go back to Western Mediterranean.
Well, let me ask you this: if you're England, are you offensive? Okay, forget the convoy thing, which may or may not happen. Let's assume it doesn't happen. The channel can be forced. So are you going to go on offense, or are you going to be on defense?
Well, the channel can't be forced unless Germany helps.
Well, correct.
So the key with England is getting an ally and doing whatever it takes. And I continue to say, England and Germany, to me, should work together on a tactical level. Strategy-wise, it just makes sense right now for them to work together. But they've not been able to do it from the beginning of the game. And it's kind of strange because, England has not really done, both of them have not really harmed each other directly. There's been some little things, I suppose, but by and large, it's just a credit to France, really, I would say. It's a credit to France that he's been able to keep those two fighting each other while he does his little Mediterranean cruise. So you have to give all the credit there, because I would think that Germany and England would have been like, look, there's all these centers that if we work together, we could have grabbed. They haven't done it. So
what do you think the odds of France moving Channel to Brest, Belgium to Picardy, giving Belgium to Germany, and then getting, having it disband for a build next time around?
Yeah, it's not a bad decision at all. I think England could definitely do that if he works something out with Germany. They'll be able to hang out there as long as Picardy doesn't go to the English Channel. I think it, England has a lot of options, but it almost is all completely dictated by diplomatically where's his opening. He's made things difficult for himself with his Russia and France attack.
All right, so France, let's look at the Mediterranean situation for France. You just said you wouldn't be surprised if Tyrrhenian Sea pulls back. Do you think that's likely?
I think so, because here's the thing. Turkey's got other concerns right now with this whole thing going on with Russia. And I'm sure France knows exactly what's happening, if that's going to be a war or not. And he can still, if he needs to, support Tunis from the Western Mediterranean. And by moving back, he's going to make sure that he's not going to lose Portugal or Spain.
And he maybe gains an Italian friend if he orders Tunis to support Naples to the Ionian, which is likely to work in light of Turkey's position.
True, but what does that gain? Turkey can't grab anything from Italy. Italy can't hurt France. There's no gain to be had.
Well, gains you one fleet away from a home center for France.
Yeah, but I really think that if he starts taking stuff from Italy, that's really only going to create a gigantic vacuum for someone else to fill. Because then he's got to move another unit to try to hold stuff, and it's just not going to be. I don't think he can hold it. He'd have to move another unit that way to be able to do it. It'll just become a giant mess. He's better just, in my opinion, just kind of sitting there. Even if it's just 2 fleets sitting there, he's at this point. I think he's probably better at that point to do that.
Well, let's talk about Austria. Austria is going to certainly have 2 powers wanting to be his friend right now with both Russia and Turkey. He gets to pick. Still has that army in Albania to worry about with Trieste. Not sure, how he can get something going, but someone's going to have to offer him something.
Right. Yeah, that's going to end up being really interesting, what decisions there are made. The natural inclination is to want to get Budapest back. You can't get a build unless you get a guy out of your home centers either. And Italy's kind of shown that, he wants Trieste. So honestly, if I'm Austria, I'm probably picking who I want to go with, and I'm just going to support Trieste from Vienna, and I'll support one of them against each other. Whether it's supporting something up into Albania, supporting something against Budapest, supporting something against Serbia. Maybe you can make a deal with Russia and say, hey, I'll support you down into Serbia. And, maybe Russia can use his diplomacy to get Italy to lay off. It's a tough position, because he's got all these people that want to grab his centers.
And Turkey, I guess, could make an offer to Italy on Trieste, or try to.
That's true. He could. He could do that. Once again, I mean, with those fleets and everything else, it's not a great setup, but he could. It's definitely available. That's just now become a giant mess. So Russia has complicated the position. Yeah, Russia has greatly complicated the position in the south, and so now it's almost like anybody's game who can come back. And Austria's got to somehow hope someone will give him some room. If you're going to go for Budapest, you pretty much have to do it in the full. So I think you've got to play this where you open up the ability for you to get something off of this. And the way that's going to happen is probably Vienna supporting Trieste, maybe. But if Italy and Russia
any chance Budapest supports Trieste to allow Vienna to move to Tyrolia, that could be a deal Russia might make.
Right. You would think, though, that Russia would want, if he's going to continue against Turkey, you would think he would want Italy to counterbalance any possibilities. I don't know. I don't completely, Turkey moved into the Black Sea, so it's kind of its own thing. But I would have almost thought they would have just continued on together. But this makes things. The nice thing about this happening in the East is it creates opportunity now in the West for someone to become the real power. So
let me ask you this: what are the odds that what we've seen is all a disguised juggernaut for Bulgaria to eventually get out the fleet into the Aegean. I know he's in the East Coast right now, but
Yeah.
you could see a forcing of Bulgaria. The fleet retreats to Constantinople.
Yeah.
And it could all be a game. You think that's low?
Well, the one thing, so here's the thing, like, what I could see happening is perhaps this was set up so that that fleet can be disbanded. Though, if that's the case, you would probably think that army would be built in Warsaw. And so I'm talking about the Bulgarian fleet.
Right.
Because that can be now supported in and taken it. You would think that army would have got built in Warsaw, though, if that was the case. Because Sevastopol to Armenia is a devastating move if that gets through for Turkey. Turkey is going to be losing a lot if that army gets in. So
one would think, well, that's a really tricky game because if the fleet in the Black moves to Armenia, but Sevastopol holds,
right,
then then Russia can get into the Black.
Yeah,
that's bad too.
It's bad all around. Yep,
it's
bad.
Turkey was looking great. That bounce in Bulgaria would have made the difference, no matter how he did it. Mm-hmm. Even better your way, but still, it would have been okay.
Yeah. Yep. I'm not convinced that. I think that was a real that was the wrong guess to make. It wasn't a terrible guess. I mean, I wouldn't have been expecting Russia to do that, but I think leaving it, if you were going to be going to the Black Sea, then honestly, here's what you should have done. Because he already had Greece, right? So if you were going to the Black Sea, what you really should have done is you should have, in his position, you should have supported Greece up into Bulgaria from Serbia, and then either move that fleet back or moved it up into the Adriatic. I don't know. But if he was going to go against Russia, he should have supported Greece and Bulgaria. That would have been the way to do it.
I guess I just don't understand at some level what happened, because under Turkey's plan, best case scenario, Bulgaria would be vacant right now.
Yeah, that's why I said you should have left Greece vacant. And you could have probably worked out something with Italy then and said, hey, keep your army in Rome, disband Albania, and I'll help you against France, and I'm going to go against Russia. So you probably could have done some things. If you were going to go to the Black Sea, I think you should have supported Greece up to Bulgaria and left that open. Because the chances of Italy trying anything on Greece would have been zip, I would say. I don't think he would have even thought about wasting that move. So you should have gone Greece to Bulgaria and gone to the Black Sea, and then you could have built an army and moved it over to Armenia, and you're ready to go. So real missed opportunity. That's the thing you always got to watch. It was the same with England. You trying to pursue almost like two conflicting strategies. So
all right, so we've talked about Russia in the north, Russia in the south. Lots of options here.
Oh yeah.
Lots of options.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Russia is the board leader in terms of supply centers, and with growth opportunities, and certainly a chance to get some friends.
Mm-hmm.
Germany doesn't hate him anymore. Austria probably is going to want to work with him. Maybe Italy.
Yeah. I would probably, if I'm Russia, I mean, ideally as Russia, you would probably want to work something out with England, I think, in this scenario, because Germany's got some really great centers to grab, and it's all a mess, but maybe you could work something out where England convoys an army and moves his fleet. Well, man, just complicated that position too.
Well, the other thing is that even though Russia and Germany have made nice for now, if this budding English-German alliance, which you're proposing, could work, that does give Germany some growth opportunity with Warsaw, Sweden, maybe. There's some chances that they could work out a deal there that is mutually beneficial. Russia has to at least be concerned about that.
Yeah,
they've done nothing but attack each other.
I really like this board just because you can see all the different ways it can go, right?
Right.
So it makes it a lot of fun. If you're Russia, what's your goals for this next year? Well, the immediate goal, to continue forward, you would think your natural progression would be to grab Vienna, but he's kind of then said, okay, I'm going to focus on Turkey. So if you're really going to continue that, then you probably, if that's the direction you're going, what you probably do is just let England keep St. Petersburg, and you focus on the south, getting down into Armenia, or maybe you go keep that there and do Sevastopol to Armenia, or hold either way and go for Serbia. It's tough. I don't really like Russia's attack on Turkey, but like I said, he moved to the Black Sea, so they both knew something was happening.
They both. Yeah, I'm hoping for a disguised juggernaut. I'm hoping for that. We'll see. I don't discount it entirely, but I'm not sure I believe in it. All right, we've come to that part of the podcast where we have to assign at least some grades for the 1903 season. Let's certainly go with the highest grade. Who had the best year?
Okay. Let me say one thing back to Russia. So if I'm Russia, I'm probably going to support Italy into Trieste with the understanding then that I'll get Vienna. That's probably what I'm doing. I think that's the most natural way to go about things. And it's in Russia's benefit if Italy doesn't collapse anyway. So I'm probably supporting Trieste or Albania to Trieste if I'm Russia. I think that's the way you go, and you just work this year on getting position on Turkey. And you also in the north grab St. Petersburg back and go forward from that spot. I think that's probably what you do. All right. So grades. Well, I mean, Germany gets an A for sure.
It was looking bad a year ago, and now it's looking like Germany's got some options, but a tenuous path forward, as you said.
Yeah. I have to give, Turkey. Not only did there seem to be some diplomacy failure, but it seems like his moves didn't have a real focused purpose. So I'm going to have to give him a C, and I suppose that could be raised if this was all trickery, but I'll give him a C.
I'm surprised you didn't give him a D for not even going to the Adriatic. If that Ionian fleet had been there in the Adriatic, think of Turkey would have had way more options than it does right now.
Well, I want to give him a D. I do. So it's, I'm trying to grade him on a curve here because of some bad play from other people. And not only that, he's made some really great plays in the past. So I suppose.
Hey, you can't win them all, but I give you a D, Turkey. Regardless of what Humble wants to do, I'm giving you a D. I was your biggest supporter.
Yeah. Well, the Austria, I guess you have to give him for his position, an A, that he's still alive.
Right. His bad grades were in prior years.
Yeah.
Russia?
So,
B plus? Yeah. A minus? One center stab, but with lots of options, maybe an A.
Yeah. I guess he made the moves he had to make, right? With Turkey moving to the Black Sea, he did what he needed to do. So I don't know how he got advance notice on that, but
that's what I don't understand. Going back to it, that was just a lone move there. That's why I think there might be some trickery. Lots of reasons to think that would not have worked unless somebody told them,
Yeah.
or Turkey and Russia worked it out. It makes no
Right.
sense to me otherwise.
Yeah, but with Turkey's side, it's that army build though in Sevastopol. That's a lot of trust to build in Sevastopol. But the thought may be, okay, we're gonna move Black Sea to Armenia, and then we're gonna dislodge Bulgaria. So I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know how it's much in Turkey's benefit to do this, but
all right, Turkey, you either have a D or an A+.
yeah, I mean,
it's one of the two, depending on how it works out for you.
Right. So Russia, I give Russia. I'm going to give them a B, just because it's a really complicated position right now to make great stuff happen from it. It can, but you may also be you're opening up some holes too. So I'm going to give it a B, though it might end up being an A if he can pull this all off. If he can, it'll become if his 1904 moves are strong, then it'll look great. But if it blows up in his face, that B will sit better.
France.
Yeah, I mean, I like France's moves. I don't think they could have been any better. So,
except for the Tyrrhenian Sea, which I think you said could have either bounced or.
Yeah, it's kind of how I leaned. So yeah, we'll give France a B.
Plus for you, France.
Okay. And so England.
England had a bad spring 1903 with you.
Yeah.
So if we put that at an F, did they improve at all in the fall?
I mean, I guess their position's better. So I guess we'll give them a C. I feel like it's a D, but I guess we'll give a C and see what he can do diplomacy-wise.
All right. That would mean that you thought he got an A in the fall. So I think we really know it's a D from Humble for England. He's just not giving us the unfiltered honesty we expect. Perhaps that's the problem with being friends with everybody, Humble. You're just beloved by so many. You can't be honest. But okay. Well, I'm really hoping. Who do I want Captain Meme to be? Who's doing the worst? I think Captain Meme. I'm going to say Captain Meme is Italy. I'm not saying Italy's doing the worst, but I'm going with that. Sticking with Iozers is Austria. I don't know anybody else. I can't guess at this point. That is too much for me. I don't think Flint is Turkey anymore. I'm not sure he's Germany. Maybe he's England. I don't know. And Superstition. I'm still going Superstition as France. I just see that. And Max Vax and Babu, no clue.
I feel like Germany could be Babu. I've started to feel like a little bit like that with I feel like that could be a possibility. We'll see, but I feel like there's a possibility that actually Germany is Babu. We'll see.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to find out. All right, Humble, thank you for, I think, which was a pretty good podcast. Sorry for the length, but we had a lot to cover. These are critical mid-game decisions. I guess we're formally into the mid-game now in 1904. Thanks to you, and thanks to diplomacybriefing.com for supporting this podcast. Humble, good night, and please give us any final words you might have.
I'm looking forward to find out how Russia turns this to his benefit. There's so many different ideas that he could go, and I'm very interested to see how that works. I'm interested to see what happens with Spain, Portugal, and Brest with England, if he's going to be able to pull anything off. And board is really, to me, living up to the hype. There's just, you can tell there's a lot going on, and it's been just great to watch. Very high level finals.
Well, let's hope for a disguised juggernaut. That'll make me excited. Good night, Humble.
Good night.